Playboy, you made that beat.
Hey, we're back at it again. I'm E. Tally. This is a special segment I like to do and talk about the uncommon approach to look for the uncommon players out there. Again, I partnered with Coach Russell Van Landeham in this segment, and I give him all props because I've watched him for the last 5+ years when he first got his hands on this ideal of what he's trying to do and get into the space. And and then I just want to make sure that people understand that not how hard, but what it really takes to get a child recruited. So that's what we're trying to bring to the platform. And I turn it over to you, Coach. What's going on, man?
Man, I love the way you said that. 5 years, really, man. My life's been on an app since I was about 9 years old, and I mean, you talk about how long you've been here, and I know you've done great things for the city since you've arrived, man. But I go back to the old days in the '80s and some of the players that came to San Antonio, including the Olympic team, and I was a part of that Olympic time back when Shaquille O'Neal. There's some great history, and Robert Keno and Sidney Kimball. Some of these guys that don't know back in the day, man, that's about the only time there was any exposure in San Antonio in '89 was when the Junior Olympics came, and they had the best of the best. But I've been doing this a long time, and this is my home city. And man, I'm glad to see the Alamo City men improving every year and get more resources for these kids. And it's just good to be a small part of helping players through the way I do it and my platform, which is a little bit different, but it's not. I said this, it's not uncommon to 20 something years of peers, college coaches. It's not uncommon to them. It's
Right.
uncommon to today's athlete, what I do. I mean, there's various avenues, but it's not uncommon to what I'm doing, professionally now to help college coaches find college ready players. They're going to know if they're talented enough. And that's really, what I've tried to do for a player who's serious. And a parent who wants to save money, but knows their child, like Tate, is actually invested. You know your child. And it's okay. I was having a talk with a college coach. I said, it's okay. These kids, if you just like to play, but don't pay for exposure.
Right.
Don't pay thousands of that. It's okay. If that's not your real hardcore dream, and you as a
Right.
parent should be able to identify that. That's why these college prep workouts are really just to maximize your potential. But my camps and what I do beyond that is really to find a kid that I think's really not only has talent, but he's going to put the work in. But he just doesn't know how to navigate through this process. It's not uncommon to that kid. I mean, so it's not scary to that kid what I do and how I try to approach, evaluating talent.
Well, I hear you, Coach, but I remember the very first little deal we worked together. You had 5 of my top guys that I knew, and hey, that common approach is what kind of showed you what we had in San Antonio, and then again, help one of my guys, get to that next level of playing to the highest to his potential. And so for me, I will forever be, not indebted to you, but just to say, hey man, what you're doing is working. And
Did you
again,
say I booted a kid when we were talking before you got on here? It's okay. I booted a kid out of I don't remember. I booted a kid out of one of the camps. I must have
no,
had an
so no,
old coaching flashback.
hold on. All right, let me break it down to you. Let me break it down to you. So you had 5 of my guys. I'm not gonna mention no names. You had 5 of my guys, and one of the guys that I thought was really, really good. He wasn't grasping it, or he wasn't paying attention to you. And so you let him know right then and there. I don't care how good you think you are, but I know what I'm doing. And you set him straight to let him know, hey man, listen, if you're not ready for this type of environment, then this is not for you. And once
And you said it best right there. And again, college ain't for everybody.
right, correct,
It
correct,
ain't. So my
correct.
passion, like I said, it's not promoting players. It's easy when you have established relationships, but it's more difficult because to help another kid next year, I can't BS, 20 something years of college coaching relationships about a player's ability, level of play, style of play. But at the same time, that actually really helps a player increase their recruitment. So, because I can remember guys telling me, "Hey, coach, hey, I got a D2 West Texas A&M," and so once I started watching film, if they've never been to a West Texas camp, they've never saw the level of talent against Tarleton State at that time or Central Oklahoma, and how good that league really was. I mean, I wasn't going to burn a bridge. I shook his hand, but I didn't call him Coach Tally back. So the bottom line for me is just really help guide. So even that kid you talked about paying attention, what I really want to happen is that he comes back to the next camp. I can't make him, and he's paying attention. That's his dream. And he's a little bit more locked in. And he's a little bit more what's going to really stand out and maybe be the difference between him being an interest, which is tricky now because there's a lot of kids thinking they're getting offers. I'm not going to mention the college names. So you can, if you're smart enough, you can see the same couple of colleges with 29 offers. They got a lot of developmental teams now. And that's okay, but those are free grants. They got nothing to lose because of this portal. So a lot of parents need help, not with the recruiting service, but help decipher, is that an offer? What's an offer look like? What's the next steps? What questions should we ask? And again, so I try to help both being, with my experience, because I mean, that's truly going to help, a kid navigate through the process, not just push a profile.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's stop there real quick. And let's talk about your experience. From the, when we did, and I did my first interview with you, you let us know that, hey, you were, that's what your role was, recruitment. You were responsible for bringing certain players in, and even got you in trouble at one time. As far as, you thought one thing, you brought all these top guys and it just didn't mesh. But when you found the right mix, that mix gelled for you, did what you wanted them to do, and you showed, hey, I got something special here. I can find a good recruit for certain schools. So let's talk about that.
And I think it certainly has helped me help players that maybe are under the radar, a little bit underrated with my peers that you can win with. I mean, make sure you understand, because playing and competing at D1 and coaching at D1, D2, D3, and NAI for over 2 decades and being a part of 9 college championships, I mean, it takes everybody. But I was always a lead coordinator. And even back then, I was a little uncommon amongst the Buzz Williams. I mean, people are saying that's my generation, man. Those guys have made it. They're doing well, and Jim Shaw at Corpus Christi, Coach Mack at Tech. I mean, we were back at Wyoming when he was 24. So I kind of go way back. That was my age group of coming up and who I competed against as far as a coordinator. But they would always jackal me when we were sitting around lobbies and stuff because, man, that guy, is he good enough to – I look for winners. They knew I had an eye. So if you have you've been part of 9 college championships, you just been a coordinator and pieced your team together with maybe not kids that are in every ranking or look, that gives me even more ownership when I'm promoting a top prospect to all those peers, because they saw those kids and what those kids accomplished. And so that's kind of my space and eye. I'm not saying I'm Coach Sampson, but University of Houston didn't scare nobody walking through the door. I mean, everybody, has a fit. You could tell Houston was tough. I recruited winners. So I'm eliminating that part for every coach that's researching my leads. It's just, can you win with this kid? If they're good enough fit, man, that makes it easy. And that's why you look at uncommon players a little bit harder. Probably 30 years, not just 5, in that space of going against those guys sideline to sideline and having those kind of players that I'm now, you're seeing me post as a top prospect.
Well, I see that you also, I think this is your 3rd year this year doing the RCS Sports Showcase. Let's talk about that a little bit. Hey, man, that's one of my mentors out there. So if you messing with one of my mentors, I definitely know we're going the right direction.
Man, me and Hicks go way back, but there's a fine example when he, in like 96, 97, when I'd be in Houston all the time, because it was a numbers game, man. It was a numbers game. I was D3, but I was a worker, man. I was tireless. I was young. My first couple of years in D3, man, I stole some players. But I just went to every neighborhood, went to every pickup game. And Mr. Hicks had, back in that day, he just had his little notepad. But
Cheat.
but again, that tells you here's how long we go. When he told me about, player at A or B or maybe at this gym that's gonna play in a city league or something back in that kid was a pretty accurate assessment. I didn't know him. I mean, he had the hat still. I mean, same old Hicks, but that's how we kind of bonded. And when I got to that D2 and NAIA level, he really helped me find some dudes out there. And I mean, that's when you know somebody's in it for the kids. It was just a matter of time of him doing what he's doing for Houston now. So flip that, he works every camp for me. And when he asked me to do the showcase, I said, hey, I know you got the spring icebreaker. You got about 500 teams coming in. I'll get you 8 college coaches to coach the teams, but let me do it my way, man. I'll make it. I'm not saying I'll make you look it up, but I'll make it more organized than some of the stuff I see where guys aren't eligible. They're sitting at the end of the bench. Some are wearing pants. That's a disservice, man. I mean, there's kids that sitting there because there are kids there, even at showcases, really there to try to get some exposure. But then you got 100 kids that ain't eligible. I mean, so in the spring, I said, let me do it my way so I can make everything more competitive. You may offend a few parents, Mr. Hicks, but it's going to be better for the coaches and there'll be more offers. And sure enough, the last 2 years, I think we've got a pretty good layout and format that leads into an icebreaker. And last year, I think we went back afterwards, a couple weeks after, maybe 38. Me and Mr. Hicks counted on a little meeting, got offers out of the 8 teams of 9. I mean, put the math together, that's a lot of offers, but it really was just because we structured it to be more like a college game, scrimmage, preseason atmosphere, and figure out there ain't no equal sub and sub to win. I loved watching Marty Levison, who was just coaching his ass off. And ain't no wonder he won the league at Trinity Valley. Now he's a D2 head coach. That was 2 years. He was pulling kids for. That's how you get a real evaluation.
Right.
It helps the players that are serious, and it helps the college coaches. So that's all I've done with the showcase. And man, we want to build off of that. And man, I've been able to help some top prospects from 1As and 2As. That's my trade out. We bring a couple of teams of kids from the middle of nowhere that I know can play and give them a shot. And that's why I do it. It's a blessing for me to be able to do that.
Okay. And then a Zion Harper. Then you find a Zion Harper from over there, didn't you? That's where you.
Yeah, because we were talking about uncommon. And I was telling these players at the Austin camp, what do you bring? I said, there ain't but a dozen people. So that's one of the smaller groups I've had. But I said, you got St. Ed's on staff, you got Texas Lutheran on staff, and you got a coach coming to watch the game. I said, what do you bring? Like, what's the one thing without the ball? I ain't talking about your jump shot. We'll figure out if you're talented enough. I'll get my assessment. They'll do their write-ups for me. What do you do that's going to really just be consistent to make your team win? Because that will help. I ain't talking about every once in a while. Are you a great on-ball defender like Cameron Roper? Are you a great leader like Yashi was? He wasn't the greatest shooter, but I could start going back. So Zion Harper, I mean, at this last camp, I used him as an example. Zion was, I ain't gonna mess with Zion. That's my boy. 6'4", 6'5", little chunky. He can't help his DNA. He gave me more than any kid I've ever seen in a camp setting. And I pushed him as hard as I could. And I was getting scared that nobody's going to offer him because he didn't really, I mean, just skill set wise and being 6'4.5", 6'5", and a little chunky, no matter how hard you go, it's tough sometimes.
Right.
So, but he rebounded Coach Talley like a monster. He went after every ball. And I tell a lot of guys, hey, I need to look around. People don't hold blockouts, but a lot of y'all don't pursue balls. So a lot of things I do behind the scenes. But Zion didn't need nobody getting on him. And so anyway, I said, Zion, man, just at this showcase, just get 20 rebounds a game because you ain't gonna score your way. And I told his dad, I've been praying that he gets one person to offer. I can't make him offer him. I get him looks. So man, Zion probably got about 20 boards a game last year. And man, left that showcase with 4 offers. And here's what I love about the end when you ask about Zion, it translated. I don't know if he'll ever be able to score. He's a leading rebounder in the Arkansas JUCO League last year, averaged 17.5 rebounds, starred in his role, 2 points. But that's got him on the roster. His dad and I had a long, thankful talk. I said, I was just as invested in somebody. I said, at that point, I just said, just do this, man. Just go for it. And it wasn't fake. And he can't talk about the size, but there's a prime example of how you can find guys that are consistent, and then you got to sell them for what they do. And I'm just so blessed to see him crushing it out there in that Arkansas league when everybody passed on him from being a little small. Winners win, and Zion won. And he was all state taps. Wasn't like he wasn't a great high school player down there in 5A taps.
Right.
So just interesting story, man, about starring in your role when I run my fall camps and really having an understanding when you leave on how to stand out to college coaches. And that's what Zion did, man. Good for him.
Well, you just had a camp this past weekend. How was that this weekend, if I'm correct, right?
Man, it's unusually low numbers for a fall camp, to be honest. And what these guys don't know is I always have a purpose, man. I always have a passion and intent. So when I told the coaches, I said, like, I'm biting a bullet here on renting 2 courts because I'm not ever going to let an official go. I leave varsity officials that I pay higher money. That's just the way I'm built. It ain't the smartest business model. But if there's 2 players that are serious and I saw 14 to 15 signups, then it's worth it to me. And the reason I say that, these kids that didn't sign up, they didn't know what I really was doing was going out there to find 4 or 5 more kids that I can reward on the 20th because I kind of partnered with St. Mary's, and I'm having an invite-only camp at St. Mary's on the 20th where I'm bringing 10 to 12 college coaches, and St. Mary's, longtime friends, are looking for players and asking me about players' toughness. So that's how me and Coach Bubba, but they're not the only ones. Everybody asks me that. So me and Coach Bubba decided on this concept. I'm going to bring every senior top prospect, or at least invite them to that camp and not open it up to anybody else. It's what I did at the Final Four. It kind of rewards the guys that are actually serious. So them dudes that start calling me when they see 12 coaches that I'm going to post that are going to be in that building, there's going to be 40 players that earned a spot. I'm going to reward top prospects from 2024 camps at the finale at St. Mary's. So just so 2 or 3 guys from Austin just punched their ticket, and I'm making it half the price. So, but that's to help the hungry kid that's really walking the walk.
Right. Right.
And so that's what we're doing on the 20th. And I'm going to start posting that on October 10th when I open it. But it's only open to top prospects at camps or invited seniors personally from a college coach that'll be there. Now you got a finale. Now we're going to knock down and drag out. Not to be scared, because I want 9 guys to get offers that finish in the top 9 that day.
Right.
That day. Like, that's what happens at the Final Four camp.
Right.
Those are all. And so that's what that purpose was. So I think it was a great, great day and a great learning experience. And I found exactly what I thought. 3 players at the 3 coaches listed as college level recruits that I'm going to reward.
Well, I think that's the great part about what you're doing over there, because a lot of people don't know you bring in, it's not just your evaluation. You're bringing real college coaches that's actually in the game, that's, there here in the surrounding area to actually do the evaluations for you. So
I'm still driven, like I said, because I know there's packed gyms and I don't get it. I just don't get it. If you really research the results, if you did nothing on this interview and research, go to Uncommon and look at accepted offers the last 2 years. They're all over the country. It's not 7 people I'm calling. It's not the same. I'm not going to say the colleges that you could see. Same 2 colleges have about 27 kids offered. These kids got to be, but, and if you went, even if today I got up this, I just started posting staff after staff from Terry Anthony Thomas at New Mexico State to speak. You'll see at least 50 different college coaches that I don't pay them $500 to call.
Right.
But they're coaching buddies. Their head coach sends them because I know in the spring their head coach can going to get leads and they're going to get looks. They're helping me grow the game. I'm
It's
using
a partnership. No, it's a partnership. It's
I
the
mean,
way it's supposed to
I
be.
use my relationships in the fall to help grow the game. The
Yes.
kids that really want to help grow their game, but parents, when they ask me that, I'm like, man, there may be 10 to 12 coaches with 200 players in the gym, and I just want y'all to know, when I was a money coach with money involved, I already did all the research. I already knew the 7 guys at the 200 player event that I was going to watch 3 times. I'm just going for them.
Right.
There's a smoke and mirror for these parents. I ain't driving 8 hours from West Texas A&M. I already have my 5 guys in my packet. I got to watch 3 times. That's being in the boardroom. On the flip side, if you have a chance and you're a little underrated, and you have 3 college coaches on staff that talk to coaches, and what I try to do post camp, then I'm like, if you see that, man, the same 3 coaches, and the last year I've worked my camps, yes, I can get your name out there. Right. Yes, you're going to get a better look. So I still encourage kids to understand it's a great opportunity, but I think some of them are still like, oh, that's tough. Well, yeah, that's okay. But you can hide weaknesses and showcases and win a game.
Right.
That ain't signing the 6'8" dude they put in the middle of his zone and ain't guarding shit. And he's sitting there and I'm under the basket trying to figure out who he can guard still with 6 other coordinators. But they're winning the bracket and he's standing in the middle of the zone or something. So that's
the other part to it all. You're not just you're not just evaluating guys and saying, okay, this is number 1, this is number 2. They're actually earning it in your camps, if I'm correct. They're actually, it's games they have to play to win, to go to the next round, to be selected, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful because, again, I'm trying to help also. And again, I was different as a college coach. I mean, that's why I'm trying to help these kids. There's 2 kids I'm trying to help the most. Kids are underrated that are serious, like dedicated. They may not be the best player at San Antonio, but if they're hungry and they're driven and they're going to play their tail off, they got a chance in my camp, if that's their dream, to really gain a little bit of interest and finish on top. And we'll talk about that. Or I have, like, I'm not going to mention names, like some of the last 4 or 5 guys I thought were D1 players in my camp. They really got to work on their motor. They really have to understand they don't guard. And so I use those college notes, not just him, but I'll call the parents and show them, okay, this is what the coach is. This is your cheat sheet. You got 30 high school games left. I'm trying to help both. I used to be, like I said, I had to get them on way, and it has helped the kid that's taking those notes. That's D1 level, like David Punch, 18 high major offers. People try to box me in. Oh, I'm just, or, CJ Hadna, or just certain kids that took that knowledge early enough and improved those areas. And that's a great thing for that kid. But you just said it. I got tired of these people talking about coaches. I don't trust the position. College coaches ain't dumb. If you're helping your team win and you can play the 3, but you're battling your ass off at the 4, they're going to recruit you. They're not dumb. They don't. I never taught math. I had 1 job, 2 offers all year outside of being an assistant running workouts, and was a coordinator. So I'm researching everything. I just flip it to help the player, and I try to find those guys. But like you said, in my camp, if you bring something to the table like Zion does, or a defender, you can win your way into that last game. And we put all the eyes on the one game in the fall, which is the winners. And ain't the most talented. I mean, it could be. If you got both, then it's really easy. But yes, this trust factor, the first 3 hours, we get 9 automatic bids. And then we play, the most talented kids need to play the last 2 hours. But at least for 3 hours, if you're really, really hungry, you can earn a spot. You can't really do that in a showcase.
Right.
You can't increase your recruitment in a showcase. I've had hundreds of players who nobody knew about. Bam. So this is my chance. If you look at my testimonies, this is my chance to outbust I'm serious about this dream. Tashawn Wells, a little bitty guard from Arkansas, was a perfect example. He said, because he played hard, but he left, and his mama said that's the hardest camp. Now he knows what he really has to do to play college, and he did.
Right.
And he signed the NAI off. God bless him. There's no secret pill to what I'm doing, but it's helped a lot of coaches find winners, and it's helped a lot of players that are really serious about playing collegiate basketball, through this platform.
Okay. Okay. So real quick, what's next for Uncommon basketball?
Well, I'm looking forward to. I'm working on today after we get up this. I'm really looking forward to that St. Mary's finale. I was trying hard to make a date work for Coach Bubba and myself, and trying hard to really reward the top prospects that were willing to work, and whether they were the most talented and finished on top or they worked their way to the top. I mean, those guys are getting the first spots. I mean, I'll reevaluate on the 15th and invite some seniors after that. But that is my finale. Last year I went up and I'll do it again this year. The Gasso is Saturday, and I always respect those guys. And again, they're another credible source that I used to follow. And I mean, you got to, they're in a different space, but their Gasso Fall Classic, their last classic is Saturday in DFW. So my Fort Worth camp is on Sunday, and I've already got 2 or 3 collegiate coaches working with me, an NAI guy, a JC buddy of mine, and a D2 GA, Coach Caleb Young. So, man, it's going to be a great opportunity to, go to the Gas on Saturday, watch some talent, support some kids I'm working with, and then host my DFW camp. And again, DFW, whoever's the top prospect, I'm going to tee the ball up, give you half price, and put the most eyes I can put on you on the 20th in San Antonio. So I got 2 purposes with that last camp in DFW.
Okay. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. So are you still doing your Wednesdays boot camp? I call it a boot camp. I know you don't want to call it boot camp, but at the same time, I want to call it that.
I call it college prep.
I like to call it boot camp. You get them guys in shape, boy. You get them in shape, coach. That's why I call it that.
Well, I mean, it started with Tom Brown was at ACA and kind of talked me into it. Not talked me into it, but he was a very knowledgeable man and a great man for the city of San Antonio. Both him, I coached LaShawn Brown for his senior year in high school. People I don't think knew that. I mean, I was thinking about going to high school, so we got to know each other really well. And it started out with a great concept of a college prep academy in San Antonio that kind of gave players all 4 components, the marketing, and it just didn't grow back then as much.
Yes.
But like anything in life, when you see, man, there is something to this, and a lot of guys getting offered on my social, and it's good to have 15, 17, 18 San Antonio players that really have a chance to play college, along with some young guys that are in my program to give them an extra and, prep for before the first practice. And that's really why I hosted the last 2 months. It's really more concept driven on how to stand out, college level position work, and, always trying to finish with some kind of workshop where they can understand and have to think at the end and put them in situations, not for them to fail, but for them to grow. And so that's the whole point of them, but it's open. It's open. If somebody wants to check it out and learn more about Uncommon Exposure, tomorrow at 6:45, they can check in and come join one workout at the Gervin Center and see if Uncommon is right for you. I'm not going to change, or I would already change and started packing the gym by selling ice cream. I ain't changing. So, I mean, as long as I'm around the game, I'm just not changing. I mean, it's not, the game needs help, and that's what I'm trying to do with these workouts. If you're a San Antonio kid and you're thinking about playing college, you're serious and you're not getting a lot of looks, and you're paying NCSA, and you're paying, man, you can pay for one workout and see if, Uncommon Exposure is right for you, because it pretty much is very simple and very clear of what my program offers when you leave a workout.
And I just want to make sure that the city knows that in reference to, or just the surrounding area, like, hey, every Wednesday you got an opportunity to see if you are that guy that you think you are. A lot of guys say, hey, I know I'm D1, I'm D2, and I want that scholarship. But like I tell a lot of kids, I'll be honest with them, hey, man, sometimes the athletic approach is not for you. Maybe the academic approach and going to a D3 is for you. But again, if you're trying to get that money, you understand how competitive. But I know, working with you for the last few years, that what you're doing, you'll be able to identify that what level they belong to. That's what I like.
And again, it's just because what I did, I know how hard it is. I mean, I was telling you about some drills before I got on here. These folks don't want to hear about drills, but I was looking at some of these kids struggling with communicating in my camp, and even the college coach, I said, tell them a red flag. Like, what more can I do? I'll get them over there in those moments. And I love what the coaches told the kids on Sunday. Man, we're at a showcase. We see a guy barking back at his teammate. Like, they're giving them red flags.
Mm-hmm.
If you had, some people don't need them, like Zion Harper, he does everything to the best. But a lot of kids that are elite varsity players, if they just knew, that's what I've seen that has made the difference. You can say, I'm better than him and him. Yeah, maybe in pickup.
All right.
But they're more prepared to make the transition. They have a clear understanding that they've come through Uncommon, not because I'm a random guy yet, because for 21 years, that was my mortgage, was bringing the right guys to the right program at the right level and having that outwork everybody in the country for a lot of the same kids.
Right.
I started telling you, when you're really being recruited. So it's good in the fall to hear from other college coaches. I can't help all of them, but the ones that have been serious, all of them have taken that to their inside. They've elevated their defense. They've elevated their body language. And that's the blessing of Uncommon. Well, I mean, I've seen it. And that was what people told me 5 years ago I couldn't do. Oh, there's too many guys. You can't do that. And offers are offers from Arkansas, Louisiana, all the way across the board to the smaller percentage of San Antonio kids that have come to the program. They're in school.
Right.
And so if you could say I was better than them, but what are you paying for?
Right.
I don't charge a lot to make for a kid who's serious or a parent who needs help. I mean, so there's a lot of guys helping, but I'll still put my experience and my percentage of results up. But in this lane against anybody in the state, as far as that mid-level underrated, kid that's got a real chance to play collegiate basketball. That's always been my kind of vision. If you're a Division I coach, you don't need help. And then the guy's paying a crap ton of money. They're not even on varsity level. They don't want to hear why you're paying for exposure. Step one, you got to be an elite varsity guy. You got to be a key guy on varsity team.
Right.
I mean, before you pay to get to that point. So, and then you can start seeking quote unquote exposure.
Right. And this is why I'm trying to, for me, for the last month, 2 months, I've been just explaining to parents or just saying to parents that what are true investments in basketball. I always consider a good trainer or a good someone that gives your kid the motivation and the confidence to do some of the things that they need to do to play next level basketball. And then I believe the Uncommon approach is also a good investment, and that will help a kid get to the next level. So just, again, parents got to be educated and just understand what is needed. And I believe the Uncommon approach is one of the ways.
And I'm blessed because, like I said, people have been telling me for 2 years, man, I'm glad you, I appreciate what you're doing, to help grow Uncommon. I mean, it's genuine as I can be. But I don't know how to do podcasts and all that. That's not my old Pollock. So, I mean, for you to put some of this out there, maybe we're reaching some younger kids, because maybe 4 or 5 really nice 8th and 9th graders are coming out to those college prep workouts now. And that's something I'm considering doing after these 3 sessions, is really make a non-varsity continuous Wednesday night for kids that are non-varsity in that space, because that's the next 2 years they're going to need help. And I can hopefully maybe grow that number and keep it going, because I enjoy being in there. And these young guys have a shot that are coming out to these workouts on Wednesday. And they may be finding out that this channel, I think that some of them are, because they're cold kids or military kids, and they get a shot. I mean, I don't know who they're playing for, I don't really, but so I like having them young guys, because they don't know. I do evaluations of game film with young guys. Like some people pay for highlights. I do game evaluations. I get college coaches to help a 9th grader. We'll evaluate his games so you know what you really do good and bad. And and you're hearing it straight from the source at a young enough age. So that's how my stuff is different. That's between me and the player, and it's worked for the Logan Gonzalez's. It's worked for kids that have started doing evaluations in ninth grade. That's all they did before I said you're ready for exposure. Logan did he's a prime example of a kid that did evaluation after each semester, after each summer. Just wanted to see where he was at, what was strong, what was weak, how to stand out. And it's been great. I mean, he's kept them on course, but there's a lot of kids I can name. I just choose him because he's a local kid. And that's all he did from 8th grade to 10th grade were the evaluations. So in other words, he was saving money. He was growing his game. And then I came in with my exposure package at the time that he was ready for exposure. And so, man, I appreciate you getting the message out because I love having some 9th grade, 10th grade, and 8th graders come out tomorrow as well and just see, if they're ready and see if they're really serious about playing college because they'll get a taste of it at workout. They'll get a taste of the intensity.
And that's every Wednesday, 7 to 9, if I'm correct?
At the Gervin Center up until the first high school practice. So it's the next 3 Wednesdays, and then they start high school practice, I think, that week. After that last Wednesday, they start practice like on the 26th or 25th, I think. They get the ball rolling. So it's a perfect prep before the season for any kid, whether you're going to be 8th grade, 9th grade JV player or the star varsity player, and some of the college level guys I got in that session that are going to be playing college after this year.
Again, that's where you see my guys. They were 8th grade going into 9th grade. I don't know if you remember that. And
that's what I'm saying. I mean,
that's the perfect time.
Some future prospects coming out that can play. I mean, there's at least 4 or 5. I don't know what select team they're playing for and anything like that, but you can see they got a real shot. And they didn't. And again, it didn't scare them. That's the kid in 2 years going to see signed. If you're scared of work and you're scared of something uncomfortable, and your trainers or whatever, I say find a guy that's training in the area that you're uncomfortable, that you leave tired.
Right.
As far as training.
Right.
That's how you get better.
Right.
But that's just me and my background is saying what I think has been successful is that kid that kind of seeks out areas of where they're going to be challenged in the weight room or whatever. They're growing.
Right. Well, again, Coach V, I appreciate your time. I told you I want this to be part of the platform that airs every week and just giving some nuggets from yourself in reference to. I know you're not a recruiter or anything anymore as far as part of the game as a coach on the staff, but you do and enough that you're passing a lot of good knowledge out. And I think that's really.
I'll always be a coordinator. That's all I did. I just couldn't get away from the game, but I had to kind of find my niche, and my niche was running smaller group events, using college coaches, putting them in college situations, and trying to discover talent that I'd assigned, and then start helping those kids increase their recruitment. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, the camps, people think I run camps, but camps are a byproduct of me discovering talent and then making it real affordable for a kid that has a shot and giving them everything besides just a profile to reach their highest potential offer. So I don't work with everybody. I don't cold call. So it's kind of a byproduct. And, so I'm still always a coordinator at heart. That's probably what I did best and why I wasn't, in high school, as far as what I did best, because there's great high school coaches. There's bad college coaches. I mean, it doesn't matter what level. There's great select coaches. There's bad, that do a great job. So it's just what's your strengths. And mine was discovering, identifying talent. I used to get bullshitted by those guys I was mentioning earlier, the Buzz. Damn, you better sign better than that. We won. I mean, having that eye has helped me have that eye to help players that come through Uncommon, get them looks. So, yeah, I appreciate you just getting us out there more media-wise. I think it's helping. And, I mean, I'm having more young guys come out. And, I mean, I'm not going to be a trainer. These are Wednesday college prep sessions, so to speak. And anybody serious about playing college, come to workout any Wednesday, next 3 Wednesdays. And you'll get a taste. You can see what I do with evaluations and see if it's for you. If it's not, I'm not going to call you and oversell you. Then that's fine.
All right. Well, hey, man, thank you again.
All right, thank you, Coach Talley, and I'll see you down the road, man. Hopefully, you'll be there at St. Mary's, and I mean, I've talked to Chad. I'm gonna try to get some other media outlets that I think are credible and really pack that gym and put 40 players in there that finished on top, and put 10 coaches in there and make it uncommon for everybody, and hopefully 15, 20 leave with real options or at least interest. And that's the whole point of that last finale and adding it with Coach Bubba over at St. Mary's.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure I pass the word so we can pack it out.
You got it. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate
All right,
your
buddy.
time.
Yes, sir.
See ya.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.